Great. Welcome to Digital Asset News. My name is Rob, and we got a ton of things to go over. First up, we'll take a look at the markets and how it is down, and how originally everything was uncorrelated as of like 20 minutes ago. Then all of a sudden, traditional market just flipped over. Then we'll take a look at the crypto bear market turning bullish, and I put that as a pretty big question mark. We're going to talk about how Bitcoin wallet is at an all-time high. Accumulation zone is in a good place, but I've got my concerns, and it's going to really come down to the macro environment. Then we're going to talk about how AMP, the crypto token AMP, is getting the Ripple treatment and is going to be delisted. Israel limits cash payments again, and Metropolitan Bank helps Voyager depositors. And then we're going to talk about what the heck is going on with iTRUST, as their website was down, now it's up, but people still can't get into their accounts. And then we'll take a look at the July winners and tune out for SWEATCOIN. So before we get into all that stuff, let's first take a look at the market. So first of all, hey, how's everybody doing? Nice little Monday, right? Woke up and market wasn't doing too bad. Now here we are. So we can see, let me go this way. That's better. So we can see, for some reason, just about 20 minutes ago, it was like down 1.25%, 1.2, 1.3. Wasn't that big. And all of a sudden, another 2% of drop. And we got Bitcoin down, Ethereum down. Let's see, for last hour, that's what I really care about. Who's down the biggest? Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Polkadot, Polygon. And that's why I DCA, folks, because you never know. You know, people say, Rob, you should just go all in. Well, I mean, you can do that, but I don't know, is that the right thing to do? And you can just see right here, this is what's going on. And what's going on with the traditional markets? Well, in the beginning, which is why I labeled this uncorrelated, it wasn't correlated. The NASDAQ and the S&P 500 were having a nice, fine old time. And all of a sudden, everything just kind of turns the opposite way. So that is what is going on into the market. Let's jump into crypto markets turning bullish and some other stuff. So I know everybody gets happy and jubilant when the price goes up, especially on the weekend last week. It was a great week, right? We were all happy. Yay. And of course, everybody's like, the bottom's in, the bottom's in, the bottom's in. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the bottom's in. And what's the other one? Oh, this is your last chance to get Bitcoin under 20K. I don't know if that's the truth. I'm not a TA expert. And I think some of the TA experts aren't TA experts, but whatever. And I can just tell you anything can happen in crypto. That's what it is. But there are some bright points coming about. And one of those is this. If you took a look at a website called Look Into Bitcoin. We've got a pretty nice stance here as far as Bitcoin wallets. Over one Bitcoin, meaning a whole coiner, is actually at all-time highs. Let me blow this up so you can see what I see. Let me see here. All right, I'll go right there. Great. So, okay, get out of there. So this is all Bitcoin wallets on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain, which can say these wallets hold currently more than one Bitcoin. And we can see that it's come up quite a bit over the last, years, July 2020, 21, 22, so roughly 2 years. We can see that as everything has kind of fallen down, there's been some investors out there who say, you know what, this is a great buying opportunity. And they did just that. Especially, you can see, not so much here, when Bitcoin was 63,000, that's not the greatest time to buy. But right around here, when I went to 36,000, 38, and of course, everybody was saying the same thing. This is the last chance to get below 40,000. This is the last chance to get before 50,000. Sure, pal, whatever. And then you can see it come here. And then as we dropped off a cliff from 37,000 all the way down to 28.8, that's when people are like, you know what? I don't know where things are going. But if this is if this is a difference between expensive and non-expensive, I think this is inexpensive. And of course, it went down even more. But as it went down, look at what people do. They buy even more. But there is a caveat here. And you have to understand that this is on-chain data. And on-chain data can always be manipulated. It's quite easy, actually. So for this type of thing, you could have somebody who has 10 Bitcoins in one wallet. So you know what? I don't like keeping it all in this one wallet. I'm going to make 10 different wallets. And I'm going to spread out those Bitcoins. Now, one Bitcoin in every single wallet, and that's going to increase this. Does it happen all the time? I have no idea. I personally keep mine in a couple different ledgers. So it's not like I have them all in one place, but I've been doing this for quite some time. I don't know if that is what it is, but just so you know, that's how on-chain data can be a little bit manipulated. So that's actually good news if you take a look. I don't know if everybody's doing that. So there's a lot of whole coiners out there. Congratulations. And then also, if we take a look at, this is also from Looking at Bitcoin. Another great website is Ben's website in the Cryptoverse, app.intothe-cryptoverse. I don't have an affiliate link, but I got a link in the description. It's really good. But this one, same type of stuff. Look into Bitcoin. You don't have to, it's free. You can check it out. But this is there's a lot of great tools, but Bitcoin Investor Tool, 2-year MA multiplier. And we talk about this and the MVRV scores and things like that. All you got to know is this, let me just scroll down here. This highlights periods where buying or selling Bitcoin during these times would have produced outsized returns. Use the moving average to your MA. Buying Bitcoin when the price drops below the 2-year moving average, the green line, has historically generated outsized returns. Selling Bitcoin when price goes above the 2-year MA times 5 has historically been effective for taking profits. So what are we talking about here? Well, again, and I'm not saying this is investment advice. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not your dad, all that great stuff. But you can see that around this time frame, historically, potentially, could have been a pretty good accumulation time, right? So even as we start to come up, people are like, this is it. I think things are going great. I think we're out of that this bearish market. And we're maybe just chop sideways, but keep going up. And crypto winter is here or is over. I don't really think that's true, unfortunately. But there are some good things to look at, and that's the positive. So now let's take a look at the flip side of that. So we know that the Fed is here to squash inflation, right? And they've done their best. I mean, look, 75 basis points, 2 months in a row. Now they're going to take a month off, come back in August. Hopefully it all works out. But, you know, they're taking a look at retro data that's they can kind of look at back and say, well, I think we're doing okay. But in all honesty, if you take a look at the one that I'm always talking about, Truflation, things are going pretty good, actually. And again, Truflation, link in the description. They take 30 different data points, use Chainlink as an oracle to pull in outside data. You can see that their data was much, much higher than the 5% that the government said we were at inflation at, much higher than that. But things were working out as far as like April goes. Looks like the Fed did their job. And then down here, it looks like it was doing well. But unfortunately, it came down here and then just kicked up again. So 10.07%. And that's just on the USA part. Remember, I know people remind this to me all the time, Rob, you know USA isn't the center of the universe. I know what I forget sometimes. It's a fault I have. So let's take a look at the UK. Geez, my Lees. So there's your interest rates, or there's your, inflation rates for the UK. And this was just added on Truflation. And you can see back in 2021, 6 point, not bad UK. But then it just exploded upwards. So I'm still concerned about inflation. I don't think we've had a grasp on it. Maybe we've peaked out, but it seems like it's climbing again. And also, there's just some odd things that are going on. We talked about this before. And one of those is the unemployment rates. And the unemployment rates, usually in a recession, 2 consecutive quarters of GDP decline, which we can all agree on, except if you're the White House, that's fine. There are some factors that don't lead to that as far as inflation rates. One of those is unemployment rates. And unemployment rates, Bureau of Labor Statistics, we've been at 3.6% for months. And usually anything around 4 to 5% is acceptable. It's just, that's what traditionally we have called it. But 3.6% has just been going sideways for quite some time. And we can see that here as far as June 2022. Also, there's one more thing I'd like to make mention of on page 4, which is this. In June, average hourly earnings for all employees on private non-farm payrolls rose by 10 cents or 0.3% to $32. That's pretty good. Over the past 12 months, average hourly earnings have increased by 5%. Let me say it again. Over the past 12 months, average hourly earnings have increased by 5%. Well, that's great, but how are you going to keep up with this? You're going up 5%, but you're losing by 5. That's pretty tough to do, especially when you're living paycheck to paycheck, and I believe people are. On top of that, I know we talk about the unemployment rate is pretty good, but just as a quick reminder, 3.6, some people think that's high. That's not high. This is how high it could go. Here's the Great Recession from 2007, 2009. 2007 is 4.4, and people were like, that's acceptable. 5.2 2008, 9% in 2009, 9.5 in 2010, 8.9, 8% in 2012, 2013, 7.4, 6.1. So you can see that even after recession, you got a lot of people laid off. And that was just 2007, 2009. 1990, 5.8, 9%. 9.5%. Again, the same thing over and over, 8.9, 8%. So if we're sitting here and we're going at this rate, which is 3.6%, there's some kind of disconnect going on. And I will just say this. Do you know how they calculate unemployment rates? Well, I've been spouting off and talking about, it's just the unemployment numbers as they come to the government offices and register. Well, that's not how it goes. This is how the U.S., I don't know where you're at. This is how the U.S. monthly unemployment rate is calculated. By the Bureau of Labor Statistics, uses a population survey. Unemployment is measured through the current population survey conducted monthly by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Only residents who are in the labor force are counted in the unemployment rate, those who have given up looking for a job or not. So if you're like in between, you're like, I think I got this side hustle, I'm gonna be good, I'm not gonna look for anything. Or I just stopped looking because I can't find anything. I'm just gonna live here with my parents or live here and we're in a group housing or something like that. They don't count. That's just how it is. Critics argue that not counting workers who have given up looking paints a brighter picture of unemployment than really exists, which is good for the government, I must admit, especially in midterms. But that's been going on forever. So it's not like this is something new. But this is interesting. So what they do, despite what many people believe, the unemployment rate is not measured by calculating the number of people collecting unemployment insurance. In fact, the government comes up with this much anticipated number each month by following a process that closely resembles the U.S. Census. Government agency conducts a monthly survey called the Current Population Survey that involves only 60,000 households. Now, we got like around 323 million people in America. So 60,000, not a huge sample size, but bigger than most. These households are selected using random sampling methods designed to generate as close an approximation as possible to the larger population. Number of households in the sample may seem small, but not too bad. Each month, U.S. Census employees contact the households in the sample and ask specific questions to determine employment status. So, and it goes on for an example, but that's pretty much how it is. They're just like, here's a sample, tell us who's looking for a job, who is employed and who is not, and then we put out those numbers. And that's it. So 60,000 sample size, which leads me to this point. If you got people who are getting 5% hopefully every year, but the inflation rate is going up higher, there's a disconnect somewhere. And there's a big disconnect between what's happening on Wall Street, what's happening in the traditional markets, and pretty much what's happening in crypto. And I think things are going to catch up to us. Just take a listen to this. I just see it. This is just how I see things. I see people out there, and I see people that are all struggling. I know they're living paycheck to paycheck. I know they're using their credit cards to the maximum amount. I know they're over leveraged. Credit cards are leveraged. And I see some problems coming up. I don't know when it's going to come up. I just see some things. Just listen to this. Let me stop the screen. It's like 2 minutes or so. Tell me what you think after this. If you think, yeah, should be a good time. I mean, it could be, not for sure. Take a listen.
For Jamie Rickliffs, it has become a twice-a-week ritual, selling her plasma.
Originally, the plasma was just like a safety net, and now it's becoming more of a necessity.
Her family's two-income household is struggling to keep up with runaway inflation, and they're far from alone. 2/3 of Americans are blowing through their savings because of sky-high prices.
We should be middle class, and we should have a nice savings, but everything's going up.
Workers' wages have increased, but not at the same pace as historic levels of inflation. New numbers today show a key gauge for prices we pay up 6.8% year over year, the steepest spike since 1982.
What's the bottom line from this week?
Buckle up and get ready.
Melissa Bradley is a venture capitalist and says small businesses have witnessed recession warning signs for months.
We see it every day in our receipts, and we need to really figure out how to make some changes.
Markets, meanwhile, rose for the week, the Dow up nearly 1,000 points. Buoyed today by oil giants Exxon and Chevron reporting record second quarter profits, thanks in part to what have been record high gas prices. Consumers now finding some relief in falling gas prices, down 76 cents a gallon from their peak, and job security. Nationwide, the unemployment rate sits at near 50-year lows. In Marion County, Iowa, it's practically non-existent.
Do you feel like you're at risk of being out of work if we move into a recession?
At the moment, no, just because there's such a high demand and we've already got so many orders already in.
Americans navigating a dizzying economy. The demand for labor high, but prices even higher. For the news, I'm Emily Ikeda.
And there's the thing, it's just, there's a little bit of a disconnect. Remember, there's a difference between the economy, what's happening in the economy, and what's happening on Wall Street, TradFi, and even crypto. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I just see that it seems like sometimes it's a slow moving train. And then when it gets here, then there's just a little bit more chaos. But it could just be me being a little bit more bearish. Who knows? Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Let's move on to our next piece. AMP gets the Ripple treatment. This is a bummer. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but this is what's happened. This just came out 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. This is Binance.US update on AMP. And it just says, out of an abundance of caution, we've decided to delist the AMP token from Binance US effective August 15th. And it talks about regulatory clarity. US supports responsible regulation, blah, 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 blah. And what this really comes from is when the SEC clamped down on the insider trading with Coinbase, they listed, how many was it? 7 or 9 different cryptos that they said were securities. And AMP was one of those. So it's the same thing that happened with XRP. As they came after Ripple, they said this is a security. And that's why that court case is going to be so darn big on top of the Voyager and the Celsius case. So this isn't investment advice, but if it was me and you were taking a look at your AMP holdings, might be a good opportunity to take a real hard look at where you think that coin is going. And again, it's just in America. So America is not the center of the universe. However, it seems like there is a ripple effect, pun intended. Anyhow, let me know in the comments and let's move on to, oh yeah, this one is strange. Not that strange if you see things going on. Israel is one of the countries, among others, that's going to ban cash payments over $4,400 on Monday. Is that today? Yeah, it is today. Shoot. So beginning August 1st, Israel, and they're not the first, not the last, will ban cash for personal transactions over $4,400 and business transaction over $1,760. Why is that such a problem? Well, if you transacted in cash, you know how great it can be. It's kind of a hassle. But if you want to, not report everything, cash is king. The country will impose fines between 15 and 30% of the relevant transaction value on those who violate the law. The law is meant to fight financial crime by promoting the use of digital payments, which are easier to monitor. These amounts represent a reduction from transaction limits that Israel previously set in 2019. At that time, transactions were limited to 11,000 shekels or $3,200, and personal transactions were limited to 50,000, which is 14. Well, I can kind of see that 14,660. It's up to you. So that is what's going on in the world as far as like cash. Let me know what you think about that. I think that's just the start of it. And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but it is what it is. So that's all we have. And then also to finish up this part, this was put into the courts. This is for the Voyager case, the Voyager bankruptcy case, which is going on right now. Metropolitan Commercial Bank put in a filing with the Southern District of New York. And this is pretty much what it states. Metropolitan Commercial Bank hereby submits this statement in support of debtors' motion for entry of an order authorizing the debtors to honor withdrawals from the FBO accounts, liquidate crypto from customer accounts with a negative balance, sweep cash held in third-party exchanges, conduct ordinary course reconciliation, and continue staking crypto and grant related relief. What's this really just saying is this. They're going to try to allow the people like us, which have USD dollars in the Voyager account, which Voyager opened up for us. That is the for us, essentially. And they're going to try to allow people to actually be able to withdraw. Now there's going to be some type of audit to go through before they're able to do that, but at least things are moving. And this was just filed last week on July 30th. So there's only so much time that the judge has to respond. So hopefully soon, people who have dollars on Voyager are going to be able to take that off. I am not a lawyer, but I'll let you know when it actually happens. Anyhow, that's what's going on, the three pieces there. And then lastly, to finish this up, iTRUST. There was a problem this weekend with iTRUST. And since we've all had our issues with the two platforms, Voyager, Celsius, Vault, you take your pick, a bunch of other ones, it's concerning when the website will go down. So this was from iTRUST. They stated that on Saturday and Sunday, later parts of Friday, website was down. I noticed it myself. Then on Sunday, I was given access, or I got into my account. And then today, can't get into my account again. So here we are. So what happened? This is what we got. So on Friday, iTRUST Capital experienced a network incident that disrupted our DNS hosting service and took our website down. All right. As soon as the incident occurred, we requested our custody vendor lock customer assets to ensure their security while we investigate. Before I go on, if this had happened 6-7 months ago, wouldn't have been a big thing. People are like, well, that sucks, you know, these things are down. But everything that happens right now with a centralized authority, especially with iTRUST, Roth IRAs and things like that, is amplified to the nth degree. So I am begging iTRUST to get the information out as fast as possible. I use my contacts, contact some people. They say, we're going through meetings. Looks like everything's safe, everything's good. That's great, but tell us exactly what's going on as soon as possible. And I will remind everybody of this, and I will remind iTRUST as well. You guys work for us, not the other way around. So when these things start to happen, I don't care that you guys are talking to me through Twitter. Send out some emails and as many updates as you possibly can. I know it may not be like a big thing, but sweet Mary Joseph, I mean, if you're going to let this happen for I don't know how long, I get bombarded with requests. People flip out, especially what's going on. You have to gauge the temperature in the room and be a little bit more transparent. That's all I'm saying. If it was me, emails every so often, as much as I could, not just on Twitter. I didn't get an email. Maybe it was my service. Let me know in the comment section. But it just makes me a little bit cautious. That's all I'm saying. Anyhow, since Friday, there have been no access to or trading with customer assets. iTRUST does not hold customer assets, which is true. It is the ability to access crypto from our system that is down. So iTRUST doesn't hold customer assets. Well, who does? The question. And that you can find on their website. If I can't hold the crypto assets, who is storing them for me? First of all, this is who. Coinbase Custody is their digital asset security provider. That's who it is. Well, who is Coinbase Custody? Well, it's the same ones that MicroStrategy picked up to use for. So, okay, that sounds pretty good. I like that part. Here's what else. Login access will be restricted and assets will remain secured with the custody vendors until our investigation is complete. For individuals who access their accounts this weekend, their wallet represented zero balance because our system was isolated from the custody vendors. True. Additionally, there are reports of fraudulent phishing activity regarding client iTRUST accounts. iTRUST is not currently contacting clients by phone, email, or otherwise asking for credentials. So that's a big thing. So just make sure that you understand that everything is a scam until proven otherwise. No one is asking for your credentials. And if they are probably scammers. But again, I got to tell you, again, 5-6 months ago, wouldn't be a big thing. I would just try to shore that up, iTRUST, and try to move that way. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then lastly, just for everybody, winners, the wieners for SWEATCOIN. So congratulations to all the winners for this month. You get 50 SWEATCOIN. I just sent them all out. Let me know if you didn't get them. Chi Sheng Sang, which crushed everybody in steps. That's a lot of steps. I don't know what that breaks down to per day, like 20,000, 25,000, 23, 24,000 a day. That's a lot of steps. Michael Pearson, Trey Jordan, Vader Lord, nice. Rishi, Andy, J Webb, Theodore, Jägermeister, and Lance Turner. And of course, I put this out on my Twitter account, and some other people already contacted me and said, hey, I got more steps than that. You're just not following me. I've already paid out. So I usually just pay out a little bit more as far as sweat coins, but that's it. That's what's going on for the news. Congratulations. And also let me say this, that if you've won twice for the sweat coin challenge, it's a 2 and out. So Xing Sang, you are unfortunately retired now from this competition, because I don't think I'm going to beat you at 747,000. You must have a heck of a job, and that'll just free up other people to move in there and try to win. So that's it. That's what's going on. So look, that takes care of today's news. If you got to take off, get out of here. I just want to say thanks for sticking with me. Hit the like button on your way out.